Welcome to the Pull the Chute podcast with Jeff and Jana. This is our weekly venture into the world of small to medium-sized businesses and the entrepreneurial spirit that drives success.
So our goal here is to help you grow and to be the best you can be, both in business and personally. To do that, we identify and we discuss topics that will hopefully help you as you work to build a successful business.
We also interview business owners and executives. It's our hope that you may be able to gain insight on ways to help you be a better leader and provide a better culture for your people.
Our mission here is to help you pull the chute once a week to work on your business instead of always working in your business.
So we hope you find these discussions insightful, helpful, and useful.
And thanks for your support. We hope you enjoy today's podcast.
Well, hello, everyone. Welcome again to the Pull the Chute podcast with Jeff and Jana. We are so excited that you're here. We're excited that we're here. Hey, Jana, how are you today?
We are excited that we're here. Every day of living and breathing is an exciting day. So
it's fun. I mean, the sun's out today, so that always picks up my spirits. I got to tell you, I just have a good time with it. The weather got a little chilly here in Nashville, but we're going to be in the 70s by the weekend, so no big deal. I can deal with one day of cold. So
yeah.
Hey, Jana, we have a fun guest on today. Jeff Baldassari is calling in from Irvine, California. So we're excited about that. And we're excited to talk to him and hear a little bit about him. But he recently put out a book as well. So I'm sure we're going to hear about that and just to hear about his travels and what he's done with his life. So, Jeff, welcome to the show.
Well, good morning, Jeff and Jen. I really appreciate it. It's great to be here and chatting with you. And by the way, I love your tagline, grow your people and grow your business. It says it all.
Yes.
That does.
I mean,
Thank you.
People are the bottom line. I don't care how good your strategy is, anything else. If you don't take care of your people, nothing else matters. So
that's right.
Absolutely. And it's fun because, we're in year 3 of this podcast and we just have so much fun doing it. But the goal is to help business owners, to figure out ways to help their people.
Mm-hmm.
And to be better leaders and things of that nature. So thank you for that. We appreciate that. So Jeff, tell our listeners and us a little bit about you and your background and how you got to where you're at today.
Well, I've had a very diverse, untraditional path in my career. I started in practicing law with the national law firm Baker Hostetler, which was the origins for my book, which I know we'll chat a little bit about. When I was at Baker, I left and went and joined a couple of clients. One to serve on a board of one for 15 years, and became a CEO of a multi-site manufacturer of high-end office furniture for 17 years. And then I did some consulting to Fortune 1000 companies for about 5. And then I did almost 4.5 years, CEO of another manufacturer of fitness flooring. And now I'm in consulting again with environmental services, ESG, and it's a firm that I've hired twice in my prior, when I was in my 2 CEO roles, and now I joined them and serving as president and executive ESG strategist. So it's been a lot of fun, and I'm going to figure out what I want to be when I grow up pretty soon. So,
I love that.
Oh, that's the best.
Yeah,
For our listeners, explain what ESG is. I had to go look it up, to be honest.
Yeah, it's environmental, social, and governance. And what it is, it's just a better way to do business.
Okay.
It's about operational and resource efficiency, where you're impacting the triple bottom line, people, planet, and prosperity. But if you take care of, like we're talking about people, if you take care of your people, you're gonna attract and gain better personnel. You're gonna retain them, being more energy efficient, being more operationally efficient, saves money, makes you more profitable, and then it just compounds because if you have more working capital, then you can take advantage of your supply chain, and it just everything's very interconnected. But in the end, it's just a better way, and it's a smart way to do business. And it also creates a halo effect of your brand, and it can generate more. It can get you in avenues and channels of business that you weren't able to reach before, because now you have a narrative leading with science, using science to demonstrate that you accomplish certain targets, or you're at a certain point trying to reach towards certain targets. But it's a lot of fun, but it's just a fundamental business approach. It's been around for 100 years. It's going to be around in perpetuity, but it's just more sophisticated because now you're able to demonstrate through metrics and science and using international standards, accepted standards, ISO standards, to demonstrate where you're at in the journey and where you intend to get to.
That's great. So did you get certified to become a strategist for ESG, or how did that all work? How did you become an expert?
Our team, we have team members in Southern California, Canada, Mexico, Europe, and Southeast Asia. and the vast majority of them are engineers, scientists, that have degrees in that. And then the business component, no, I don't have certification other than the fact that I've walked in the shoes. Our target client base are businesses 5 to 100 million in size, revenue size. I've walked in their shoes. I understand. I was an accounting major in undergrad, and I passed the CPA. But that was one thing I knew I didn't want to be when I grew up, was an auditor. That's why I went right to law school. But I've walked in the shoes of the target audience we're trying to reach. So I can speak their language, I can give the financial analysis, and I can connect the dots for them as to how, different, approaches and techniques and methodologies to become more profitable, become more efficient. And then how that connects to the science, whether it's carbon emission tracking, greenhouse gas emission tracking, life cycle assessment, why those things matter, and how you can embed those sustainable practices into your business model. And then again, create a narrative that can get you into new channels of business, and also secure relationships with your stakeholders, supply chain and larger customers, because they're being, through regulatory measures, being forced to do this, and they're going to make sure their supply chain does. But in the end, it's just this again. It's going to pull in everyone into this ecosystem, and in creating that awareness, and it makes it, again, to what we talked about at the beginning, grow your people, grow your business. You have to, the disconnect. You just can't put commitments out there and pledges out there.
Right.
You have to have follow through and make sure that it does happen. The organizational embeddedness of what you're claiming or aiming to do. Well, that starts with your people, and you have to have that appreciative inquiry approach where you invite all the voices to the table equally, regardless of title, to engage the organization from top to bottom to make things happen.
Wow, that's so interesting. We talk about that all the time, don't we, Jeff?
Yeah, we do. It's great. I didn't realize that there was a strategy ESG. So if I can dig a little more into that for a minute. So is this a program? Is it a platform?
How do you
get involved? Like,
how is it executed? Yeah.
Well, the methodology to integrate the program in, there is a systematic. Everything is systematic with ESG, because you can't put things in silos. Like, for example, you can do supply chain mapping and discover, my gosh, some of our components and raw materials are being handled multiple times in the supply chain, whereas we could cut out some of that, reduce the cost. Because you might say, who cares? A business person might say, who cares about my carbon footprint? That's a bunch of tree hugging, information. And ESG is not being driven by the tree huggers. It's being driven by the financial markets. That's what's driving it. It's not the environmentalists. So why are they driving it? If you have a large carbon footprint, that screams inefficiency. That screams you have too much greenhouse gas emissions going into the atmosphere. Why? Because you have your stuff, whether it's raw materials, components, your finished goods, whatever it may be, it's too much traveling and using fossil fuels to get it there. So, when people realize that when business leaders realize this can make them, more viable and sustainable. Also, it extends to getting loans. If you have a better financial performance, obviously you're going to get a better interest rate, better terms, and so on. And they have to be able to see this. So as far as how do you get it done, you have to integrate it throughout the organization. So that, like let's just start with waste. Waste, the best approach for dealing with waste, whether it's inbound from your supply chain, the packaging waste, or manufacturing waste that comes through, keeping those two different buckets. It's to cut it off at the source, not to recycle, not to upcycle, not to compost, stop it from happening. That's how you can work with your supply chains. If you think about it, if they put too much packaging in, then you have to deal with it. And you're going to spend money with it, handling it, and then paying the garbage man to put it in a landfill. That costs you money that you don't need to spend. But then if you do have to, you're going to reduce the packaging to the most efficient level. In the end, what ends up happening is you have to find the guy. One man's trash is another man's treasure. Right. How do we divert it where someone will take it off your hands free of charge, so you're not paying the landfill? So when I was at Taylor, the multi-site high-end office furniture manufacturer, at our factory in Cleveland, we eliminated 90% of our production waste. And how did we do it? You have to go through a process of a dumpster dive, essentially. It's a waste inventory audit where you're identifying the categories of waste. We had sawdust, scrap lumber, leather, and then plastic and cardboard. Everybody's got plastic and cardboard. Some cities will charge you to recycle plastic and cardboard. So that, because they want to make money too. But you could find someone who needs that for their business and they're recyclers that will pay you for it or take it off your hands for free. So you're not paying the city to deal with those issues. But for us, we found someone who wanted the sawdust, which was local horse farms for bedding. It's clean, it's easily spreadable. So instead of being charged by the waste hauler to take it to the landfill, we had to take in the horse farms paid for the transportation from our factory to their farms. Same thing with scrap lumber. We found people who wanted that. And the leather scraps, we found a company in Montreal that wanted to use it they produced purses and wallets. They paid us 20 cents a kilo. They picked it up on their nickel. So in the end, that's how we eliminated 90% of our waste. We went from 240 cubic yard dumpsters and 4 6 cubic yard dumpsters being picked up every week down to 1 6 cubic yard dumpster getting picked up every other week. Eliminated about $25,000, over 10 years ago in paying the garbage man, if you will.
Yeah.
And that's in perpetuity. That's an annuity. So every year you got 25 grand. Energy conservation, I can go through that too, but we ended up doing energy audits, which I highly recommend. That's a starting point. Energy efficient equipment, but the energy audit really tells you how to fine tune your equipment. And you need to do that every couple of years because things get out of caliber. You have to update that. But energy savings, we reduced it by, I think it was 63%, and it turned out to be about 90 grand a year. So in the end, we were saving around about 125,000 a year just with energy conservation and waste diversion. Those two items, that's $125,000 left in your piggy bank.
Yeah.
So and how do you do it? Again, how do you do that waste diversion, and especially the waste diversion? You have to engage the factory workers. They see what's going on. You can't do it from your corner office, or anywhere in the office. You've got to involve the factory workers and different personnel to identify where the waste is coming in, and then how they could be participating in how we divert it.
Right. Oh, that's amazing. And so you're saving all the money, but in some cases, I heard you say you're actually getting paid as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can also make a little bit of an income stream. But then you have 120, let's just say the number, you got $125. You can invest that back into your people, some of them.
Sure.
You have pay raises, better benefits. That helps retain people. And again, even the culture changes because everybody's engaged, everyone's participating, everybody's creating a new mindset for the company.
Right.
And it's something that the values are being shared. Also, it could help you with discounts with your suppliers. So now you have more cash. You could take advantage of 2% cash discounts when you pay in 10 days. And you could ask for more suppliers to offer those terms and take more savings. So for example, if you're buying $1 million of leather or $1 million of whatever, some raw material, and you save 2%, that's 20 grand.
Yeah.
So now the 125,000 just became 145,000.
Mm-hmm.
So you have the compounding. And it just goes on and on how it can really benefit a business. So again, it's just and you're helping the environment. You're not filling up landfills. And also when you recycle and when you're helping others recycle, then they're not extracting virgin materials, which costs more than recycling or reusable materials. So there's a lot of pluses and there's a lot of compounding of the benefits, throughout the ecosystem for not just you, but your stakeholders that are involved.
Wow, amazing. Thanks for that in-depth.
I know, it's interesting.
It's wow, it's so amazing.
Yeah.
It's funny. There's one person that I'm talking to here in Nashville that I should present that to him because it's like that probably would help them tremendously right now.
I was gonna say, give me a call because I'd love to have a conversation and maybe we can get them on the right path and help them out get started because it does. I will say the other thing about our business and in our approach to ESG is we make sure our customers, our clients, they get an ROI far greater than what their investment is in the services. So for example, you could spend, $5,000 to $10,000 on energy audit and a waste inventory audit and the hotspot mapping that's required afterwards. But if your company is 10 million or more, you're going to double those savings in the first year, triple, quadruple. I don't know. Every case is different. I can't say that for certain, but you'll at least double it. in the first year. And then you're going to have that money every year, in perpetuity. So it's not like it's going to end after 1 year. So yeah, I'd love to have a connection. Love to start a conversation.
That's great. So you said at one point you were doing accounting, you were a CPA. I could not imagine your personality being a CPA, so I'm glad you became a lawyer. Yeah, CPAs have a tendency to be a little more staunchy, quieter, reserved. I don't think you're
a little drier. Yeah, I love marketing. I love marketing much more than accounting, but I can do both. So yeah.
So you wrote this book. It's called From Associate to Ambassador: The Distinctive Skills Every Law Firm Associate Must Master to Enjoy an Exceptional Career. Tell us why you wrote the book and give us some insight.
Well, it didn't start out that I wanted to write a book. I was at Baker Hostetler, joined in 1990. Big national law firm. When I left in 95, we were the 16th largest law firm in the country. Baker's still, top 50 in that range based on attorney count. We have over 1,000 attorneys now. But, the reason the book came about was, it's like, it goes back to the simple question: what do you want to be when you grow up? Well, when I was at Baker, it's like, I want to be a corner office partner at Baker Hostetler. So I started observing, like, what made them different. In Cleveland, we had 7 floors, so 28 corner office partners. And I was trying to figure out in my mind, and it was just through observation and noting, what made them different than all the other 200 lawyers we had in Cleveland,
right,
in the Cleveland office. And it didn't come down to where they went to law school. It didn't come down to their field of practice. It was all these, I found these timeless at the time. I was a 30-year-old associate, still, still green behind the ears, but just observing what made them different, and I discovered they possess timeless foundational values and principles, and they've mastered them, and it boiled down to their people skills ultimately. But if I put it into buckets of general skills, lawyering skills, marketing skills. If you want to be a corner office partner, you got to be one of 3 things: a legal deity, some kind of a legal god, a genius. There's very, very, very few of those in the world, so I wasn't that guy. So I knew that wasn't my path. You could be the busy bee billing 2,500 hours a year, have no life. We worked a lot of hours anyway, billing 2,000, 2,100 hours a year, and that was plenty. I didn't want to go to that level. But the third item, which I could do, was rainmaking and bringing clients in. So a lot of the corner office partners were, they were, not all of them, most of them were rainmakers for the firm. And the question became, well, how did they go about doing it? And it was their connection to people. It was their connection to the support staff internally. It was their connection to their colleagues, and it was their connection to the clients and how they went about achieving it. There was multiple skills and steps in which they did it, which I note in the book. So I create all these observations. And then one day I just decided, well, gosh, I got a lot here. I think I'll write a book about it. And I started doing research. If you can imagine, before the internet was a thing, I got out books and looked up quotes to support points that I observed, these timeless foundational values and principles. And I wrote in a letter, put it in the mail, waited 3 or 4 weeks, and publishers, I had a couple of publishers. I remember W.C. Wiley wanted to publish it. I can't remember the others, but I didn't like the format they wanted to do. So I said, thanks, but no thanks. And I literally put the manuscript in a folder, threw it in a banker's box with a floppy disk. Thank goodness I printed it out, because if I didn't print it out, it would have been lost forever. Right. And it sat there for 30 years. Wow. And then last summer, I was talking to somebody who at dinner, and she said she was writing a book. And I remembered, I said, well, I wrote a book. And she asked me what it was called, and I couldn't remember. It had been so long. And so I hired a firm for consulting to get me back on track, because the world had changed. And I did a rewrite of the book. Most of it was still good today. It could have been written in 1963. It could be written in the year 2053. These are timeless things that just don't go out of style. Yeah. And I did change the title to what it is today, from ambassador, or from associate to ambassador, because it was, and I wanted to capture with that title, be something bigger than yourself, and just be bigger than just becoming a partner at a law firm. Mm-hmm. Because in my mind, a corner office partner was just that. It was an ambassador to the firm, and that's what really drove their success. So that's how it came about, and why I did it, and just sharing the experiences. And you've seen the format. And I made this book more of a working book. Mm-hmm. So there's action steps in some points to take. there are reflections, what have you done? Where are you at in this journey? Because you're never going to arrive. It's going to be it's a destination with or excuse me, it's a journey with no destination. And one of the first quote I put in the book was something my father said to me back in my 30s. Because my book is really, like I said, about people, just like, their tagline, grow your people, grow your business, was connecting with people. So my father said to me, my father was, a very successful businessman. And he said, everything in life is easy until people get involved. And it is so
that's
true.
Good.
It is.
And I didn't, and I put that, it's the opening quote in the book. I start with that because I didn't appreciate how true that statement was.
Yeah.
I didn't appreciate how, even though I made all these observations, I think the book's 188 to 194 pages long. But all these observations I made, I knew they were important because they distinguished these corner office partners from everybody else. But I didn't appreciate the impact or how the gravity of their importance until I went through my career. And then it all starts making sense. And it was an interesting journey, like writing the book or experience, because when I redid the rewrite last summer and fall, it was like having a conversation with my 30-year-old self.
Oh,
Yeah.
And because I could remember who I was referring to when I made these points, whoever it was, whatever partner I had observed doing this. And that brought back memories, but also, again, I knew it was important. But again, at the time, I didn't realize now, oh, that point may be more important than the one, 3 pages earlier. I mean, they're all important, but the gravity, had changed, having experienced it. So this book will accelerate, the career path or the professional development. The target audience for the book is young, junior attorneys, junior associates, and law students and summer interns.
Okay.
This will accelerate their professional development. It will, if you're just a subject matter expert in an Am Law 200 firm where the competition is really fierce, your job is vulnerable, period. I don't care what firm you're at. You need to be more than just a subject matter expert because certain subjects come and go. They're popular times and they're not, and you're disposable. But also not only having career security by becoming something more than just a partner and becoming, an ambassador to the firm and having these skills, you're going to have more career fulfillment. It's going to be fun because connecting with people and watching them grow and helping them and making a difference in their life, that's the juice of life. That's fun, so
Absolutely.
that's another reason.
Yeah, it's the most important thing. We talk about it all the time. People are, the relationship between people buy from people grow business because of people, it's just they're satisfied with their employment because of the relationships that they build. Of course, it is about what subject you're in or what profession you're in that drives you initially. That's your why. But in order to be successful, it's about the people. We talk about it all the time. Absolutely, it is.
And so the question is, why is it so hard for people to realize that?
I don't know.
I mean, there's a lot. I mean, there's 3 of us talking about it. We all believe in it. And we've done a lot of podcasts where people say the same thing. Yet I feel like, again, I keep throwing out the Great Resignation when, 4 million people a month were changing jobs because they hated where they were working. Right. So why do business owners and why do executives not get this? What's your thoughts?
It's not emphasized in school. Like I put in my book. My book is what's not taught in law school, but you needed to be successful. When I was an accounting major, I went to Miami University, great school, great business school, one of the top in the country. Always has been for decades. And yet there was not enough emphasis on writing. There was not any emphasis on people skills. Now, granted, I graduated in the mid-80s, but still, to this day, and I haven't looked at curriculums of universities, but if there was more emphasis in the business school, again, if you're going to be successful in business, you need to master, your EQ. You can take all the different buckets. Let's put it in one bucket. Your people skills are more important than anything else. Because if you surround yourself with great, talented people, that's all you need. Just create that environment for them to thrive in, and you're going to be off to the races. And you're going to look like a genius, even though they're all smarter than you, but yet you treated them with respect, with empathy, and so on. and you made them feel great, and you gave them a chance to flourish, and they appreciate that. So I think what it comes down to is it's just like I said, what's not taught in law school, that's what's in my book, and it's a people portion. An undergrad for business, it's like, again, with people, you have to be able to communicate, and you have to, and also listening skills. I don't think business people listen very well. They can't read the room very well. Like you mentioned, an accountant, thank goodness, and I'm not trying to bash accountants, but you can't run a business off a spreadsheet.
Right.
I've met those people. There's nothing more infuriating than when I meet someone and says, "Oh, well, if you tweak this and tweak that, you'll be more profitable. This ratio is better than that ratio." And they don't realize I don't care what they're looking at on an income statement or a balance sheet or a spreadsheet that's analyzing either one of those financial statements. Those numbers are a reflection of the behaviors and actions of people. And if you can't figure out how to motivate, manage, influence, or inspire people, those four things, if you can't do that, it's not a number, it's not an academic game moving numbers around. What it's all about, whether it's a law firm or it's a manufacturing firm or a service business, you have to be able to manage, motivate, influence, and inspire people. And then everything else will take care of itself. And like I know you mentioned it, you want to get was it founders syndrome, this top-down approach. Well, it's the same thing here, or very similar, where until business leaders, lawyers, learn that it comes down to people at the end of the day, that's the answer. And they've got to master that if they're going to be successful and not be frustrated and can't figure out, why isn't this working? So that's my 2 cents on that.
Wow. And I love it. I love it. I love your input. This has been so exciting to hear. I can't believe our time is up already. It's crazy. I know. Well, we're probably going to have you back on because there's more insight of things that I would love to learn what you think about. So we'll talk about doing that. But Jeff, if people want to get a hold of you, how can they do that?
I think the best way is to go to the website for the book. It's from associate to ambassador.com. I really encourage people to sign up for the newsletter. It's every other week. You get an excerpt from the book. You get a page out of the book. And so you get a flavor of what the book is about. There's more information about myself, my background. Obviously, you can contact me through the website. I'm on LinkedIn as well. I'm not hiding from anyone. It's my real social media. But and obviously, you can purchase the book off the website as well. So, but the website provides a lot of information. My podcast interviews are there. I write a blog for law students and junior associates and current topics. But that's the best way to start a conversation. And love to do it.
All right, love it, love it, love it. Well, again, thanks for being on the show, Jeff. We really appreciate it. To all our listeners out there, thank you as always for the support that you continue to give us. Go check out Jeff's book and see how that can help you. But as he said, look, it's all about the people. So just don't forget that. So until the next time that we talk, stay safe and be healthy.